I run into an old boy the other day that said St. Ruth wasn't exactly what it represented. It said they had a little more whiskey and a little more spirits down there than people know about. And then I heard another fella say that Charlie Goodnight said he didn't even like to go through there no more because it was just a little bit wild and woolly, and some of his cowboys were picking up whiskey there. Is that right?
That's correct. Hey, Mr. Goodnight they won't hardly let his boys go to town anymore. In fact, they kind of have to sneak down here to see me.
Is that right?
They do. They come in out of these canyons and they sneak down here. And Mr. Goodnight, he don't like for his boys to cuss.
Has Charlie ever been up here?
I haven't got to meet him. I heard he come through here and got on the stage, but I didn't meet him at that time. But he has to go back and forth to Mobeedy for business a lot over at Fort Elliott.
That's a man I'd like to meet.
And nearly everybody, including Mr. Rowe, when they want to do big business, when they buy this land and all, they have to go plumb over to Henrietta.
Well, have you met Mr. Rowe?
Yes, he's come through here. He's got a deal with me anytime I come up with land script that I've taken at the bar here, and he said he'll buy it from me. And that's where he gets a lot of his land script, is these boys come in, these old soldiers, you know, they'll come in and they'll have a piece of land script that the government gave them pay for their service in the Army during the Mexican War down there. And they bring it in here and drink on it, and they don't have no money, so I just write on the back of the script how much whiskey they drink. And when they come in to claim that script, they have to pay me or I keep the script.
Well, that's good. Thank you. Let me ask you about this while we're talking about the road. A lot of people, when you say road, there's a lot of people don't really know what you're talking about, even though Alfred Rowe was the guy, you know, that come in with the ranch. I bet him. But a lot of people call it just the R.O. Ranch. Is that the same thing?
That's all the same thing. Mr. Rowe come over here from England in 1878, and he knew Mr. Adair. And he come to the J.A. Ranch down there and stayed about 6 months or a year and kind of learned how to do business over here. And then he went down to Clarendon and set up his own place down there on Mulberry Creek. He got an old dugout down there, and that's his headquarters. And now Mr. Rowe is doing very well buying tick herds.
Is that right?
You betcha. You know what a tick herd is?
I never heard of that. What's a tick herd, sir?
South Texas has ticks, and they bring it up here to this country. We don't have ticks, and we don't know what the deal is or anything, but anytime you get the South Texas cattle herds against cattle up here in Kansas and around, they all get tick fever. About 30% of them get sick and die. So, but there's something about it, they don't know why, but if you leave them here all winter in this country, before you take them to Kansas, they don't have ticks.
I guess the freeze just gets...
Well, we just don't know. Someday they're going to figure out why this is all happening, and it's going to...
Well, I've been in that country down there, and there ain't nothing any worse than a herd that's infected with ticks. There just ain't no way to kill them, I don't guess.
Mr. Goodnight now, he's got that Winchester quarantine over there.
That old man gets serious about that, don't
he? He drew a line and said, you boys don't bring your herds close to the J.A., and you don't. When you come up from the south, we're kind of on the main trail here down to Kittiquay and that way into Mobeedy because we got water, see. Water's very important. Hope someday they'll start drilling windmills and putting up with. They got a newfangled contraption called an Eclipse windmill. Seen a picture of it in the catalog a drummer had the other day, and you put it up on top of the tower, and that sucker will pump water to the top of the ground. I don't know how it does it, but it does.
You know, you're speaking about. Pardon me, boy, but this come to mind when Bert was talking about Goodnight. I was through there. Goodnight was gone, and I got with old Lay Dyer. That's his, he married Lay's sister, Good Charlie did, Molly. And he got to telling me that Goodnight wrote a letter to one of his best friends down around Jack County. And he says, I know we have been friends for a long time, but I feel it only fair to tell you that if you come this way with your cattle, I'll shoot you if I have to. You've been a dear friend. I regard you as a friend, and if you will just fly right and stay right, there won't be no trouble. But don't think our friendship is going to keep me from killing you if you come through my land with infected cattle. So I took it from that the old man was pretty serious about keeping it.
Mr. Rowe catches a herd coming in from South Texas. And you got to remember them boys about starved out down there. And they broke and they're come in back from the war and there wasn't much to do, and they started catching cattle and there wasn't nowhere to sell them except in Kansas. So they start them this way, and by the time they get 400 or 500 miles north of San Antonio and they get up to this country, they're give out and they're tired and they don't know for sure where they're going. So Mr. Rowe buys their cattle, their horses, their wagons, and everything. And he puts them down in that open country, open range down there on Mulberry Creek. And then the next spring, he cuts the big steers off and drives them on to Dodge City. And they don't have ticks no more.
Boys, I'll tell you both of you, Mr. Temple, Henry, you ought to be listening to every word of this, and you ought to put it in that newspaper, because this is history.
Yes, sir.
And this is fact. He's telling you the straight story. And people ought to know about this. But I appreciate that, Bert. You answered some questions I needed to hear.
There's some people a lot smarter than I am tell me it's called progress.
Yeah, well, that might work.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I guess we got it coming whether we want it or not.
I think that means inching forward, is that it?
That's inching forward. And Mr. Houston here, I'm sure he's a little better traveled than we are, and I'm sure you're seeing all sorts of so-called progress a coming.
Well, we'll drink to that right now, and I'll have to give you this because you've drank everybody's drink in the house already. So let's just drink to that right now.
Drink to progress.
Are we ready? Let's go with her.
Inching forward.
I guess we better pay up, boys.
Well, this is on me, fellas, and I've enjoyed the fellowship.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that, and it's been an honor to meet you, sir. I
Same
have
here.
to say that.
Temple, keep your law books handy because you can't never know when I'm going to be falsely accused. Okay?
Welcome and come back anytime that you can. We appreciate you dropping in.
I appreciate that. Y'all take care.
Thank you, sir. You have a wonderful afternoon now.
Thank you. You too.
I got a drink with Temple Houston.
That's something. It's a privilege to have a man of that caliber.
It is, and I'd venture to say, if all goes well in his life, that he'll probably be the governor of this state.
We're going to hear
I
from him
believe you're
again.
right.
I know
I
that.
think so, too.
We're going to hear from that man again.
I think so too.
I'm feeling a little fuzzy because of this now.
You look a little fuzzy.
I'm not used to rock gut. This is some good stuff, though, people.
Yeah, it was. This is better than what we were doing yesterday.
I'm going to have to stumble back to my room now, gentlemen.
Well,
Just call it an early evening.
what's the matter?
I'm just feeling a little happy.
Okay.
And I'm going to
Nothing
go,
wrong with that.
catch a little shut-eye, get ready for tomorrow.
But wonder where that barkeep goes. That's.
Come back, preacher.
And I'll be seeing you all later.
All right.
You got anything on the stove?
I'll have to check and see.
I'm going to go with you, preacher, because I might need some help. Y'all, gentlemen, just have a wonderful afternoon and evening.
Take her easy.
Y'all have a wonderful evening now.
Okay. Let the door hit you in the ass, you little drunk. Bert, to Jericho.
To Jericho. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I gotta go piss.